All right.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Big baller shot callers. This is Big Ken here, joined by my co-host Monty Brown. Welcome from the Grid to the Rim Sports Talk Show. College football is here, folks. We touched on week 0 a little bit last week, and this week is week 1, and the college football atmosphere is back. 2 games are getting ready to come on right now as we speak, and you can tell the atmosphere is there. It's lively, and you can tell people are excited and ready to go. Real quick on this show, we'll touch on some week 0 matchups that we predicted last week, how those games went.
Oh gosh,
and we'll also
we'll
also get into some week 1 matchups. Yeah, week 0 did not go well for us, but we'll get into some week 1 matchups following our week 0. You know, I guess you could call it post game analysis. But before we do that, both me and Monty are representing our kids' schools. I think I already mentioned on this show a couple times before, but my son is going to Washington State University, and Monty's daughter is going to Cleveland State. So how about that? How is Cleveland State, Monty? How do you like it up there?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to spend the weekend in the great city of Cleveland. Loved it. It's different. I liked it a lot. That Cleveland State University is in the downtown area. Nice school. Very friendly people. Treated me well. Treated my daughter well. She's going on her sophomore year. So I had a chance to help her move into her dorm, get herself settled, get a chance to look at the university, look around the city of Cleveland. Loved it. Go Vikings.
Nice. Yeah, my son he's in his senior year, Washington State, for all the viewers out there. This is his I think this is actually his 2nd or 3rd year there, because he started off in community college and he's been there for a couple years now. He had to take an extra year because some of his community college, he switched majors, so he could have graduated last year as a senior, but he's a senior this year since he switched majors. So I guess this is kind of like his 5th year of college, I guess you could say. But the Washington Cougars should have a good season. They were okay last year, but they blew a lot of games late in the game. But that was their Achilles heel last year. We could talk about that as we go on to the show. But yeah, go Cougs, man, go Josh. Do well in your senior year, and I look forward to you graduating in several months from now.
Right.
So week 0 matchups. Let's talk about our stomping grounds, UTEP and Jacksonville State. What the heck happened in that game? Did you watch that game? I saw a score and I was just like,
no.
What the heck? I didn't see it, but I was like, it was low scoring. I know that.
Couple of things that I was off on. My apologies to the Jacksonville State alumni. That's a good team. They were in the Ohio Valley Conference a year ago, and this was their first year in Conference USA. They went 9-2 last year, which I didn't know. Didn't know anything about this team. Ineligible for the postseason because of this transfer into the new conference. And man, that's a good team. So I believe UTEP was still favored by 1. I thought it was 11, but it was 1. They had a chance to win at the end, but just couldn't do it. 2 running backs did well. I know their receiver had over 120-something yards, but no, that was no cupcake they played. That's a good team. The whole Conference USA did a realignment. That's one of them. They're going to challenge for the Conference USA title. Team's better than I thought.
Yeah,
so props to Jacksonville State.
Yeah, obviously I was disappointed in UTEP, but yeah, Jacksonville State was a good team last year, so it wasn't like they lost to like a team they should have, blown out. But and it's nothing against UTEP, I like them, but it does seem like you know more about this than I do, Monty, because you've been in the El Paso area far longer than I have since I left for the Navy many years ago. But it seems like last year and this year they start off really slow. They haven't won their season openers the last couple of years. So it seems like they don't do good in these first games, and it hurt them last year. Hopefully, it doesn't hurt them this year where they get themselves in a big hole. And they can't game again.
Yeah, this game could. They have a game they should win this week against Incarnate Word. They should have no problem with that team. But just like North Texas last year, a heartbreaker to start the season. This one could hurt them, but we'll see what happens. It's early.
Yeah, they don't want to go 1-2. If they get to 1-1, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, even 0-2 is still a chance, but you just don't like the way it started because now you're thinking it might stink in their heads, like, oh my God, here we go again. So yeah, they need to win their second game. Navy and Notre Dame in Dublin, Ireland. That game was as predicted. Navy's in transition after firing their coach, and this game is usually played at the end of the year, and it was played the very first game of the year, and they made it, of course, in Ireland. They played the game in Ireland, to advertise, college football. But that's a hard game for Navy, no matter what. But I think it was even more difficult, more harder, if you will, being the first game on the schedule when they have a new coach, new everything, and that's a tough opener against a ranked team, and they're better than you at every position. I feel like Navy might have done better if they played them more like in the middle of the end of the year, like I always do, where they kind of have their offense, they have an identity, and they might play better. I mean, obviously they're still heavy underdogs, but maybe playing later in the year would have served Navy better. More than likely, we know they're still going to lose, but occasionally, Navy pulls off these upsets, and they got close, last year, very close, a one-score game last year, like we talked about. I don't know really. USC and San Jose State, it was a blowout, but I don't think USC played very good. It was 21-14 at halftime. They won 56-28, but San Jose State was very much in the game at halftime.
Yeah.
So
I caught the tail end of that, and San Jose State was tougher than I expected.
Yeah, Caleb Williams had like 4 touchdown passes and everything, but I know they opened the game up, later in the third quarter and definitely in the fourth. But I mean, that game was close for about almost 3 quarters, so that surprised me. I'm not a big USC fan though. I like Caleb Williams, reigning Heisman Trophy winner. I got no problems with him coming from Oklahoma. Him and his coach, both coming from Oklahoma to USC. But I think USC they might be suspicious on defense, but the Pac-12 has been suspicious on defense the past several years, in my opinion, kind of like the Big 12. They got really good offenses, but their defenses are horrible. So it seems like that's going to be an Achilles heel for USC, probably again this year, is their lack of defense. They definitely got the offense. We know that. Yeah. Caleb Williams, really good wide receivers, good running backs, but their defense might cost them some couple of games here and there and not get them into the college football playoffs. So we'll see. What do you got for week 1 matchups? What do you want to start with for week 1 matchups this week, Monty?
Well, let me go ahead and touch a little bit on what we talked about last week, starting with one of the big games, TCU and Colorado. Like I said, I expect TCU to win this game. They're favored by over 28 points. I expect them to cover that. We got our boy Neon Dion coaching the Colorado team, but it's a tough task. You got TCU, who got their heads handed to them in the championship last year, so they're going to have a lot to prove. They're going to come out week 1 angry, and they're going to want to show the nation who they are. I mean,
they're like, we're not the 70. We're not this team that lost 70-7. Yeah, whatever it was. It was insane. That was the worst championship game ever. That was horrible.
Right. And there's not a lot of top games the first couple of weeks, which is typical for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. But yeah, that's one of them. I expect, just because I follow Deion Sanders all his career, and I will be following him his coaching career. I'm just curious to see what happens. I don't expect him to win this first game. So I got TCU to win big.
I got TCU to win. I don't know if they'll win big, but they very well could. Like I said, they're really mad about last year. They could. I just wonder how long, if Colorado hangs around longer, it could get interesting. But I definitely think TCU will win, though. Because I think, TCU is too tall of a task for Colorado for a week opener. Like I said, later in the season, that might be better served for Colorado when they got their ducks in a row. But
right.
Yeah, but TCU should have this one. And like I said, they definitely got something to prove. I'm gonna jump into some Thursday night games that are being played right now. Nebraska and Minnesota is one. Obviously, everyone knows what's going on in Nebraska. Scott Frost is out after a disappointing 3 or 4 seasons there. Never could figure out why he couldn't get it going, because he was a great quarterback there. His alma mater. He was a proven coach. Did amazing at UCF.
Yes.
Had really good football seasons at UCF. So everyone thought he was just going to come in and clean house. And I don't know what happened to that guy. they lost so many one-score games like 3 years in a row. It was not even funny. Like they're in a lot of games in the Big Ten, and they just couldn't finish. They could not close. So I wonder how Matt Rule is going to do. Minnesota is the favorites today because Minnesota actually has been a pretty decent Big Ten team the past several years. I mean, they've had like the third or fourth amount of wins behind Michigan and Ohio State the last 3 or 4 years in the Big Ten. Like they're no joke. I mean,
Yeah.
it's Michigan, Ohio State. Of course, Penn State's been really good, and Minnesota's been up there. Minnesota's been decent. They've been to some bowl games. Of course, forget Wisconsin, but Wisconsin isn't playing right now. But I think Minnesota. Well, we'll see. I would like to see Nebraska win, but I think Minnesota will win. I hope Nebraska wins though, because I like to see them get off to a good start, being 1-0 instead of being 0-1 like it have been. I think the past like 3 or 4 years of Scott Frost, they always start off. They didn't win any of their season openers. Right. I think they went 0-2 a lot also, or went 1-1. They used to go back and forth a lot. But I know they didn't win no season openers. What do you think about Nebraska, Monty?
I've never been a big Nebraska fan ever. Minnesota's a team that I've watched. Part of that's because of the Sun Bowl. They have the Big Ten. They've had the Big Ten here. Now I think it's the Big East and the Pac-12.
Yeah,
but, I've had the chance to see Minnesota play Oregon twice here, and since then I've always followed them. So kind of became a fan of theirs. Well, rest in peace, Marion Barber, who was a running back for that team. I watched him play in the Sun Bowl.
A great Cowboy guy too. Our team,
great Cowboys. So maybe it's with my heart here. I would pick Minnesota just because it's a team I've kept an eye on because I've seen them play live a couple of times.
Yeah, I miss that. I wish the Big Ten was still in the Sun Bowl in our stomping ground in El Paso, Texas. Yeah, I remember Big Ten was always there. They always represented. That was nice. Yeah, that brings back memories of me, you, and my dad going to some Sun Bowl games there, watching the Big Ten play. Of course, me and my dad are big Big Ten guys, so we always enjoyed that. The other Thursday night game that's being played right now is Utah and Florida. Utah is coming in ranked number 14. Florida's been kind of like 500-ish the last couple of years. They were 6-6 last year. I don't know who they got really playing from this year, because I know their quarterback just got drafted to the NFL for the Indianapolis Colts. So I don't know what they got, but I think Utah's gonna win this game. But Florida is they're not a great team. They used to be great, but they're in the best conference in college football, and they're not bad. So Utah just needs to be careful. I think they'll win, but Florida is not a cupcake team. So they have athletes. They have athletes there in the SEC going to Florida, man. So yeah, they might be able to hang with Utah.
Yeah, Utah is another one of those teams that I've never been a fan of for whatever reason. Maybe because BYU, one of the most hated teams in college football, they have that connection there. I don't know what it is, but they're playing Florida, man. And any Florida team, I don't care if it's Florida State, who we'll talk about later, any of the Florida team, that's tough. So I believe Utah's up by 7 right now, but I expect Florida to make a game out of this and maybe even win it.
Yeah. Right now, the Nebraska-Minnesota game still 0-0. Nebraska shut down Minnesota in the first round. They just got the ball back, so it's interesting. But yeah, I'm not a big Utah guy either. But I do respect their coach. He's tough as nails, and their players kind of take after their coach. Like those guys just fight hard, and they've whooped up on USC a couple times in a row last year. They beat Caleb Williams 2 times last year. One in the conference championship game, and another one I think in the bowl game or the last game of the year before the conference championship game. So I know USC lost back-to-back games to Utah, though. Everyone was wondering if Caleb Williams would get his revenge in the other game, and he did not. The second game out of the 2, and they lost both times. Actually, pretty handily. They got whooped. That's because, like I said before, USC has no defense. Caleb Williams can only do so much. Let's talk about my boys, big, blue. Number 2 Michigan versus East Carolina. That game's being played on Saturday. It's being played on Peacock, which kind of upsets me because usually they're on major networks, and they're doing this Peacock things that me and my friends are talk about at work. That's kind of BS, but it is what it is. I wanted to catch it on TV, but I can't. Michigan should win. Obviously, number 2 for a reason. They better win. But
Yeah.
but like we mentioned before we started the show, East Carolina went to a bowl game last year and they finished the season 8-5. They went to the Birmingham Bowl and they beat Coastal Carolina big, like 50-something to 24. Like they won by like 30 points. I mean, they blew them out. So yeah. So obviously East Carolina's a major underdog playing against the number 2 team Michigan, but yeah. I mean, and they're playing in Ann Arbor, so Michigan should whoop them, but you never know, man. Michigan had that crazy game like 15, 20 years ago when they were ranked number 5 and lost to Appalachian State. So hopefully there's not a repeat of that. That was embarrassing in week 1. I don't remember that game.
Here's the thing about this game. The question is not whether they're going to win this game. So they're going to cover. I'm looking at it here. They're expected to win this game by 36. I don't know if they're 36 points better than East Carolina. Like you mentioned, to your point, East Carolina is no slouch. They're a good team, but man, that's a lot of points. They're going to win the game, but are they going to cover? That's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I didn't know they had that. I knew they were favored heavily, but I didn't think it was 36. That's insane.
Yeah.
Dang, that's like 36. That can't be right. Well, if it's 36-0, that's a lot of points from Michigan still. That's 5 touchdowns, man.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Man, that's a lot.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Monty.
Here's a game that caught my eye right here. What we got going on Sunday night. We got LSU and Florida State.
Ooh, yeah, a top 10 matchup first week. I love it. Yes.
Now, I'm predicting just like everybody in the country, Caleb Williams should get the Heisman for the second time in a row. First time in a long time, but you got 2 other quarterbacks for LSU and Florida State that might challenge him. You got Jordan Travis from Florida State.
Yeah.
And you got Jaden Daniels from LSU.
Yeah.
That's going to be a shootout. LSU favored by 2.5. I got them winning by 10.
You got LSU winning by 10?
Yep, LSU winning by 10.
LSU and who's the other team again?
Florida State. It's at Florida State. That's a bold prediction. But I expect a good game.
Yeah, I hope it's as good as advertised, because I love that there's a top 10 matchup in week 1, so there's at least one interesting game to watch this week, which is nice. I'm gonna go the other way. In my heart, I want LSU to win because I'm not a Florida State guy at all, but I think
me neither.
But I think Florida State might pull this off since Florida State. But I wouldn't be surprised if LSU wins. But I'll take Florida State in that game. They're back on the rise. We all know, like in the 90s and 2000s, Florida State and Miami were just dominating college football, like the way Alabama and Clemson kind of Clemson every once in a while it is right now, and now Georgia, But but Florida State and Miami, they used to be powerhouses in the state of Florida. Oh man, yeah,
my Hurricanes.
A lot of guys played in the NFL from those teams.
Oh yeah,
a lot of guys. So yeah. I wonder if Florida State is back. But LSU was really good for a while. Then they had a couple off years, but looks like they're back also. So I'll talk about my neck of the woods, Wazoo's rival, University of Washington, we like to call UW in these parts. UW is ranked number 10 this year. They've been pretty good. They've been a pretty solid football team the past several years. I mean, I don't know if you remember a while back, they made the college football playoffs and played Alabama in the semifinal. They lost 28-7. No, everyone knew they weren't going to win, but I was surprised they hung with them that well, 28-7. So, and UW hasn't been back to college football playoffs since, but they've been close a couple times. I know I think the next season they were still like in the top 10 or something. So they're good. They've been ranked a lot the past several years. That's to my point. Point I'm making here, but I think UW will obviously win this game, but Boise State is no joke. Boise State, it's kind of sort of a rivalry. It's not like the Wazoo rivalry or the state rivalry, the Apple Cup, or the Oregon UW rivalry, but Boise State is across the street, so to speak. They're the next state over in Idaho, right next to Washington. So it's kind of a rivalry. So you don't know what can happen in those games because they're close by. And Boise State's had some really good teams in the past. mean, they've been some giant killers. And they finished 10-4 last year, and they won their bowl game, and they were the first place team in the Mountain West Conference. They won their conference, so I think UW's going to win that game, but I think Boise State might give them a run for the money, especially since it's early in the season, and if UW doesn't have all their kinks worked out and they're not playing up to speed, Boise State might pull off something crazy. I don't think they will, but you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Boise State's that team that mid-major that nobody wants to play anytime during the season, beginning, middle, or end. They're tough. They have NFL players going to the NFL every year now. They built that program to pretty much a powerhouse at one time, and when they're not a powerhouse, they're still competitive. They're not going to be Washington, but they're going to give them a game.
Yeah, I agree. Here's a question I got for you, Monty. It's probably not going to be a good game, but I want to mention it since my dad and my mom are in Tennessee. Tennessee is coming in preseason ranked number 12 against Virginia. Virginia's kind of so-so. They've been kind of down. They're still kind of okay in the ACC, but I had no doubt Tennessee is going to win this game unless something crazy happens. But my question is, do you think Tennessee is going to be as good as they were last year? Do you think they'll have two really good seasons in a row? Because Tennessee was a pretty horrible team for a while until recent years. So they finally got it going last year. So do you think they'll do it again?
Well, they're going to have to start off with a win against Virginia. Their favorite big, 26 points, I believe.
Yeah,
they're going to have to make a statement right away. They're playing in that tough conference, the SEC. We know about that. You got your LSUs, you got your Auburns, some team called Alabama in that conference. So yeah, I don't know if they'll be as good, but they'll be good.
Yeah, I just wonder if they'll be ranked because they were predicted to be good like 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they just kind of laid an egg. You know, they were like kind of like 500-ish, and then they tailed off really at the end of the year, and they weren't even like bowl eligible, finishing like 5 and 7 or something like that. You know, so they were supposed to be up and coming for the past 4 or 5 years, and they finally made it happen. You know, last year they beat Alabama, which was awesome. I'm happy about anyone who beats Alabama. So I'm not a Tennessee fan, but I was absolutely happy that Tennessee beat them.
Oh yeah.
Of course, my dad was texting about that. You know, the field goal kicker made the game-winning kick to win the game.
Yeah.
And it was an ugly kick, but it went in. It looked funky as heck, but it went in. That's all that counts. But they lost a lot of players to the NFL, though. I think a couple of Tennessee's receivers went to the NFL. Their quarterback went to the NFL. So that's my question, too, is who they got replacing these guys. I think that will be okay. They're ranked 12 for reasons. So obviously, they got some pretty good backups. And I'm sure they got some other returning, you know, starters on the offensive defensive end. But they are missing some key players from last year. So I'm kind of interested about how they're going to – that's why I'm so interested in how they'll be this year.
Yeah, for them to lose all those players to the draft and still be ranked number 12, they had to have a pretty good recruiting class. I don't know how it is compared to everybody else. I think Texas had the top one, but they had a good recruiting class to still be ranked 12.
Yeah, they got to be. Everyone's predicting them have another good, solid season this year. What other games is? Oh, Iowa and Utah State. Iowa just barely came into the top 25. They're exactly ranked 25 against Utah State, and Utah State was 6-6 last year. They lost their bowl game and finished 6-7. So Iowa should be okay, but the problem with Iowa is their lack of offense. They drive me crazy. They're the most boring team to watch. And no offense, Dad, I love you. I know that's your team. You're from Iowa, but they drive me. Their lack of offense just drives me crazy. They're solid. They're good as heck defensively, but their offense just kills me. Except for their tight ends. They got tight end university there. All these guys going to the NFL, but besides their tight ends, man, they don't have and a couple of good running backs from every now and then, but everyone else, just offensively, they struggle, man. They're horrible. What do you think, Monty?
Oh yeah, that's Iowa shouldn't win that game. I don't think they will, but yeah, we'll see what happens. It's got to be a struggle, that's for sure.
I'm just tired of them struggling on our offense, man.
Yeah,
you know. I love that they play solid defense. That's what the Big Ten is known for, being hard nosed, tough.
Oh yeah.
Tough football, especially in cold weather. I wish, obviously, I'm not taking anything away from the SEC, just kind of piggyback. I'm just going to talk about the SEC and Big Ten real quick. I think obviously the Big Ten. I mean, the SEC is better by far, but I think the Big Ten is getting closer. But my thing is this: I feel like if these SEC teams came up to play Big Ten teams in the cold weather when it got like to November timeframe, I think Big Ten might actually beat these guys and upset them. But where they play at, and I'm not taking away from the SEC, like they're good, but they usually play against the Big Ten like in a stadium that favors them, like in warm weather. So I wonder how. I just wish SEC team would go up there like in November and go to Ann Arbor in November, and I want to see how they do, or go to Ohio State in November, see how they do. Against some of the top level Big Ten teams. Penn State is another good team.
Right.
I think Big Ten might win some of them. I'm not saying they're going to win all of them. I think they could win some of those games. That's what drives me crazy about that whole matchup. It depends on how you look at it.
I compare the Big Ten to the black and blue division of the NFL with the Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota. Those teams that play hard-nosed defense, cold weather teams that that beat you up pretty much. And I compare the Big Ten to that. Yeah, it's a lot similar.
Perfect analogy. The funny thing about Ohio State, as much as I hate them, they've probably been the top team in the Big Ten for a while. Michigan has finally beat them 2 times in a row, like we talked about earlier. But Ohio State by far has the best offense in the Big Ten. They have the same kind of offense that the SEC teams have. They can play with these guys. Last year, they could have been in a championship game if that field goal kicker would have made that 48 or 49-yard field goal and not shanked it as badly as he did. They had Georgia on the ropes all game. They had a couple 14-point leads, but that's the funny thing about Ohio State. They're so good offensively, but they're one of the mediocre teams on defense. They have this high scoring offense, but the Michigans, the Iowas, the Penn States, they have much better defenses, but their offenses aren't quite as good. Especially Iowa, like I talked about. Michigan's getting better, especially with their running game. But Ohio State by far has got the athletes on the offensive side to match up against SEC teams over the last few years. So I just hope the Big Ten finally. I hope it'll be my boys, Michigan. I hope the Big Ten finally gets a national championship this year, man. That's what I want. I still want to see Alabama or Georgia get it, especially Alabama. Sorry, Brad. I don't think the show, but I'm tired of Alabama.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brad. All you obnoxious Alabama fans. I hope you all lose. I don't know if he watches this, but I know Brad. For those of y'all who don't know, the viewers out there. Our friend Brad, who we grew up with in El Paso, Texas, he's another Parkland High School, El Paso, Texas brother who we all love to death. And he played football like Monty. I played basketball, but he's from Alabama and he's obnoxious as hell about Alabama. I see a lot of obnoxious Facebook posts, but he knows I love.
Boy,
I won't say he's obnoxious. I'm just saying but Brad, in your defense, you're not here to defend yourself. So I'm kind of throwing you under the bus a little bit. Sorry about that because you're not on this show to kind of talk back to me because. Brad's pretty witty. I know he'll have some good comebacks and he'll throw it right back in my face. So I know how he is, man.
Hey, come join us on the show, Brad. We'd love to have you, man.
Yeah, I wonder if he watches it. I need to ask him.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man. Like I said, these games are being played tonight, Thursday night games. We'll see how they do. But in closing, do you got anything to add about anything, Monty? Or anything else?
Here's a game that might. Well. NCAA does this every year. They have a kickoff Monday night college game before the NFL season.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so we have
I'm glad you brought that up.
Playing this used to be a basketball school, but their football team's gotten a lot better. They got Duke.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. And man, they're not up by a lot. If I'm not mistaken here, Clemson's only up by 13, which you would expect them to blow this team out, but Clemson's been on the decline a little bit, still ranked, but not.
Yeah, not going to the football playoffs.
Championship.
They're not quite there, but they're still good.
Like Alabama and Georgia. They're still ranked number 9. Like I said, they're only up by favored by 13. It's on ESPN Monday night. I'd like to see a good game here.
I would like to see a good game, man.
Clemson winning it, but I'd like to see a good game.
And it's Labor Day weekend, so
yes.
you know, yeah, I'd like to see a good game too, and I'll be watching it because there'll be nothing else going on. I'll be off work that day, so heck yeah, I'm gonna watch that. In closing, for those of y'all who don't know, I'm a football official. My second year, I just thought I'll bring that up real quick, but I got my Friday Night Lights game tomorrow night, the first game of the year up here in Washington. So that's what I'll be doing. So not only do we talk about sports, I'm actually an official, so I got like a different perspective now. The last couple of years being an official is totally different than what I ever thought it would be. One, it's a lot harder than I thought it would be. So I've kind of found a new respect for officials because I'm like, yeah, now I'm one of them, and it's tough, you know. And most everyone's okay, but occasionally you get someone who's really obnoxious, and you hear some crazy stuff. And yeah, I just found a new respect for officials in general, especially high school, because it's a really fast game and things are just moving quickly. Especially when I got the varsity level last year in the middle of the season, like it just goes so fast. And yeah, first you're kind of overwhelmed by everything, and then it finally kind of slows down for you. So, but I'm on a varsity crew this year for my second year, so I'm off to a good start. Pretty much got varsity games every Friday night, so I'm excited about that. Last year I didn't, so I guess I'll put a shout out for officials. You want to come be an official, do it, man. You think you know the game, you think you can help us out. I'm always saying, hey, don't criticize us, make us better. So if you don't like something, join us. So whether it's up here in Washington or anywhere across the country, I know they're really hurting for high school football officials. So I just thought I'd put that out there, So you want to be part of Friday Night Lights and serve the community, become an official or become a coach or do something like that, man. And as always, subscribers. Go ahead, Monty.
That's something I couldn't do. I have a respect for that, man. My brother, he refereed basketball for years. It's tough. It's tough. I don't see how y'all could put up with that. I couldn't. I think I'd rather sit and be Monday night or quarterback like we're doing now. And but yeah, I know it's tough. I know it's tough. I understand what you're going through, but yeah, you get to see a game like you mentioned from a different angle, from a different perspective.
Yeah, no, they're fun, and like I really see the speed and physicality of the game. Of course, you can see it in the stands a little bit, but I'm telling you, field level is so different, man. I really see it, and even for just local high school teams here, some schools here, like you really see the speed and the physicality. So I'll be amazed to be on the sideline and be an official for like a D1 college football game to see the difference in speed between high school and D1, which we know is much quicker in NFL and all that. So it's just crazy, man. But but I love it. I'm having fun, and it's fun, man. We have a good time. Of course we got to take some criticism from time to time, but we just learn and try to get better, and let the best team win and call a fair game. So yeah, for our subscribers, thank you as always. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching our channel. We had a lot of views last week, so hopefully we do the same thing this week. And we'll be back again next week for week 2. Hopefully we'll be back every week if we have the time, since obviously there's going to be games every week for the next couple of months here for college football. So we'll come back on here, and of course we're going to start our NFL show next week also. So try to squeeze the NFL and a college show in for the NFL opener next weekend.
Yes, appreciate your subscribers. I know a couple of you left comments last week. Thank you. We appreciate it. Love your ideas, suggestions to help this channel grow, and looking forward to more of this. Having fun.
All right, yeah. All right, we'll close out, but everyone have a good night and peace.
All right.